I would make a motion that we approve this plan as presented, but with only one TDR, and leave it at that.
But what about, and with all the language that,
Well, the changes we've asked, let's leave it. I'm not going to recite them all right now, but
And which
and the
TDRs?
fencing plan,
do I have to be specific about which TDR? 6. 6.
Yes, because we're amending the subdivision plat, and so we have to know what goes away.
I would say, I would do it with, make a proposal that we give a TDR for 6 and approve it based on the discussion we've just had and the amendments you've been taking notes on, which I'm not going to repeat to you. If we need to articulate that, yes.
I'll
But-
have some clarifying questions.
Yes, okay. But we need a second in the conversation.
Kelly does.
No, no, sorry.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it for the purposes of discussion.
Okay. You ready to discuss?
I'm not gonna support it, so I want it.
I would not support, I think, lot 5 and the next given TDR, because I support
So what?
provisions of the land use code, and lot 5 clearly qualifies for that, and I support 5 and 6 for reasons.
Okay, well, let's just clarify the motion.
It's for one T.
For one TDR, it's for 6, and you're seconding it. but
Seconding it,
you're
and I'm
not
saying
going to
I
vote. Okay.
will not support it when we vote for that reason, because of that.
I understand. Good. We're moving forward.
Do you have something to say?
No, I just think that the TDR thing should be sorted out before there's a motion on the table. I'm not prepared to approve this today, regardless of the TDR.
Okay, so let's,
And I want you to know.
I've got 3 now, so that one pretty much dies. I can withdraw the motion if that is what I need to do, or we can vote against it.
The motion's on the table.
Okay.
so let's vote.
Or you could withdraw it.
No, she said we're gonna vote on it, so.
So we're gonna vote on it. All those in favor of the motion to approve the proposal with one TDR and the changes to the conditions 9, 15, Reso 6, and 2. And so, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, motion fails. 2 to 3. Do
Somebody
you
else.
want to make a motion? To
No, I
continue
don't.
this?
You want to continue it? Do you want?
I mean, the thing is that I feel like I support overall the project. This isn't, I'm not trying to prevent the barn and the arena or any of that from being built. I think we do not have all the information in front of us to responsibly make this decision in the way that best benefits all of the community of Pitkin County, personally. And I've been clear about the information that I think we need to see. I will say related to the TDR in response to Glenn, I'm a little surprised. I feel like you and I have better rapport. I didn't love the way that I feel like you attacked me right then, but I will justify my position because I feel like the TDR program is broken. Quite frankly, I don't think a TDR for a house that's never going to be built is responsible approval of a TDR, is what I think, and I have the discretion to use that. So it's not necessarily for me pitting against what this TDR may approve and allow and what it will always in perpetuity prevent. Like, that's not the reality that I believe we're dealing with. I believe we're asking to pay for a monetary value of something, or to create monetary value out of something that was never going to be done in the first place. And I have a problem with that. And I think the TDR program is broken. This is why we ask for TDRs on questionable chicken coops, questionable historic preservation. I'm sort of surprised this board hasn't put in a moratorium on TDRs until we sort all this out with the conversation taking place in the community. We haven't done that. I have the discretion to say no to it, and that's my reason why. So I don't want to I'm not.
What is a
opposed to the
TDR?
project. I'm not a solid no under all conditions at any time forever.
Joyce will buy
I
it.
think there are, there is a situation where I would be prepared to approve it, but I don't think we have the information to put all the conditions that I think would be responsible for this approval in the resolution today. So I'm not prepared to approve it today. So that's where I'm at. I think there's 4 members that are. So it's tricky because I'm the third vote for this TDR. However, I'm not the third vote on the general approval. So if there's a strategy to move forward, if the rest of the board wants to honor my third vote on how I would want the TDR to move forward, as you are all prepared to move forward today, that is an option that you can consider in,
So you really need to make it to
No, can I ask for a point of
however,
clarification?
I just need today,
I just need Kelly to clarify the exact information. I don't have a problem with, I mean, I do have a problem with continuing, but Kelly has some valid issues she'd like to see resolved. But I would like to see those clearly outlined so the applicant and staff know what further information you might want to be considering if we choose to continue this.
I personally think that if there's going to be effects on the Crystal River due to the hydrology of however a 400-foot well has to be developed, that we should know that because we are taking responsibility for solving that problem as a board anyway. So what additional problems may we be looking ahead by approving this? I think it's responsible for us to know that.
Can I talk to Laura real quick?
She's talking about a water well?
With the hydrology shows us something we'd have to, we can't, I don't know how
Is it a
this
city well? Or
permitting
just a water
process
well?
interferes with our ability to deny when they, I don't know the legal.
What I heard from Kelly is just to her, if she were to deny, it has to do with the discretionary basis of the application that's before her. In terms of additional information that an applicant could provide, that's not required, but applicants provide whatever information they think, affects the view of board members. In terms of what's required for a state exempt well permit, that's not.
So it's over here, and this is Kelly's question's over here.
But it plays
It's
into
about-
her determination
Right,
whether
that's what I
this
mean.
has the value to Pitt County that she's looking at.
Right, that's
And I
what I'm
think
supporting.
it sets up, are we as a board taking on a commitment to be part of a solution to a problem that they may be allowed to create, but we haven't defined that clearly? That's what I think is part of our responsibility as a board. It's not necessarily an implication of their rights as a applicant.
You
And
did that
maybe
with
there's
the
some
distillery.
conversation there about like, do we partner on a particular problem that we see coming down the road? Is what I'm just concerned about Crystal River. We are in active solution modes for problems on the Crystal River.
So what information can the applicant provide on this?
What I'm hearing, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, so clarify if I've misinterpreted, is looking at groundwater impacts that could occur from an exempt well drilled at a location that would serve what's proposed to be served by what's anticipated to be an exempt well. And I think you hear what I'm saying there, Glenn, right? Like, there's no active well permit, there's a lot of information that's unknown. Certainly, an applicant would qualify for an exempt well permit on a 35-acre parcel. I think you can identify what 35-acre parcel you're talking about. Does that have consequences for the system as a whole? But if I'm not understanding it,
I think that's, and I agree with you, Kelly, that at some point, we have to take action about how many wells we're gonna permit in the Crystal River. That's why I'm going out and see the water engineer. Pretty sure I know what he's gonna tell me, but I'm gonna go do it anyway, because it's one lever that we could use to possibly stop drawing water out of the Crystal River aquifer. And this is a hard one though, because I don't think we can prove what the effect of a exempt well, 35-acre exempt well permit will have on the neighbors and the aquifer and the river, which is quite far away. So,
And I don't know enough to know.
yeah, so I don't know either. So it might be an unanswerable question, which might make it impossible for them to respond to, which then puts you in a position to what? Say no to the project, or?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to say no to the project.
I'm not like trying to look for reasons. I'm trying to take a very big development in an area that is constrained by a lot of factors and do it responsibly. That's my
So may I also ask Laura, based upon the Cart New Hanlon letter that we received, which you only had like a nanosecond to review, do you think that based upon reviewing that letter, there's some questions that may come up that you could give me some questions and we could go back to the applicant's attorney and kind of get some of those answered?
What has been provided is a demonstration of legal water supply or the ability to water supply. What I'm hearing concerns from the board is not necessarily legal water supply, it's physical supply. So the letter submitted speaks to legal supply. It doesn't speak to physical supply and attenuated consequences to diversions for what's proposed on the development. That, to me, one way to approach it would be to look at water engineering, but that is not the only way to approach it, certainly. The applicant could address concerns regarding resource, development in any number of ways.
So Leslie, is that not what we required at the distillery? When they're concerned about the river, they had to come back with a pretty in-depth hydrological report.
Yeah, but the permit, the well permit that they were going for was different.
It was different, but the information we requested, our
Right.
concern, was my concern, was the draw of the aquifer and a stretch of river that's dry. So anyway, that's just food for thought. And I think Kelly had another.
Say dry?
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back because
not a river.
about
It's a
the
runoff.
construction impacts for December to April on the road, and how we, get CPW to weigh in on what are bounds for that. Like if the board's approving that it's going to be snow plowed, the road's going to be available. Construction vehicular traffic is not bound by the same 30 trips per day as typical use. So I think we should understand that better.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when we talk about the 30 trips or 28 trips that they think would be generated by having 3 dwellings up there, which there would never be, but if there were 3 dwellings up there, they say that would generate 28 trips. Well, those aren't great big huge hay trucks.
Did the maid hit me in the back 3 times?
It's a different kind of trip generation, and they treat it all the same. Like, somebody driving up there in their Subaru is really different than somebody driving up in a hay truck.
Well, and I totally don't buy that there's 7.5 trips a day for the EDUs either. But that's a side.
Yes.
Can I ask a question about water as well? So, there are sort of 3 conditions, though, correct? Aside from just drilling a well, there's a demand side to this. So, we don't have a bathroom in the indoor arena, do we?
How many horses need?
They need a bathroom.
What'd you ask?
That's what I thought. So there's a whole demand side to this. So drilling an exempt well for the barn in an indoor arena as compared to 3 single-family homes, right? So there's a well, and then there's a demand side, like, calculation to this. So could we, and then beyond just 7, 8, and 9, there is, and I'm not sure, I'm going to bounce around a little bit, but I'm not sure what you meant, Kelly, around like lot 5 wouldn't be developed anyway. I mean, if we don't get a TDR, that could definitely be sold as a single family home, right? So I wasn't sure what you meant by that. Maybe you can clarify in a minute. But so then we also have like 3, 5, and 6 can get a well. They have a certain water demand. So for me, it's not just this like drill one well and have the hydrological influence of that. It's like what is being drawn from any of this water access in this proposal versus a subdivision also. So I want to make sure if we're giving you information, there's some pretty critical information there around the whole demand side calculation of this. And, you know, a small EDU, I think there's maybe 1 bathroom in the barn itself, 0 in an indoor arena, 2, 0 in an indoor arena, 3 single-family homes, which are how big and would have how many bathrooms? 4, 5, 4.5. I mean, it's insane.
You're right. I mean, it's a spray for dust.
You do demand side calculation for water. You do demand side calculation for water with.
Require a lot of water. They drink a lot of water, and I'm pretty sure at this facility, these horses will be washed pretty often.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is, can we do more of this from a like demand side aspect of proposal in front of you, alternative proposal of a subdivision, right? And sort of look at it from that perspective versus, you know, because this is a little out of our realm to say, you know, doing the hydrological on the well, but
make a good point there.
Yeah, I represent that.
yeah.
We may need hydrogen transitions.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that because it's a Pickens County Board of County Commissioners approved subdivision exists. So doing a demand, a chart comparing 3 houses of X number of bedrooms with an estimated so many people using so many 100 gallons a day per person, that can be done. And then also they probably have a little landscaping around the outside. They're probably going to be, I don't know whether they're allowed to, but
It would be an exempt as well, so up to 1 acre.
For the single family
It's
houses.
true either way, wherever you put the exempt well permit and whatever you use it for, it's up to 1 acre of
Yeah,
irrigation.
but he's talking about individual houses which don't have designated.
Where they use their rain.
So if Heather and Glenn could come up with a water demand comparison between the existing and the proposed, and I would add if there's any water saving features that you could think of, which look for the state of the art, how for a horse barn facility, how do they use the water so they conserve water as much as possible. There might be stuff out there that I'm not aware of, but maybe you could find out. You could kind of do research on that as part of Kelly's thing, I think would be a good thing to look at.
Laura, let's clarify what the misunderstanding is. So I thought if it was a single family house with a non-exempt well, that there was no outside water.
It depends on how they choose to permit it. I suspect that because they could wrap these lots into a 35-acre area, those 3 houses would be on an exempt well permit.
Oh, I see.
So you would likely get 1 acre of irrigation for those 3 houses. The same way you might get an acre of irrigation for what's proposed with an exempt well permit on this development. That's all very speculative.
And can I also just point out, which I raised in the last hearing on this, was, you know, just on the other side of the hill, they're trucking water up to the ranch, right? So they may find that 700 feet is way too deep to drill a reliable well, and they want to truck it instead, and then we get to talk about that. You know, like I just don't know. Well, you know, I don't mean to talk about a hypothetical, but I feel like there is more information for us to make a responsible decision that we should know.
Can we put a condition that if you don't find water, you can't truck it, you don't get to develop?
I don't know.
I'm not at a point.
Trucking water,
If they can't truck in water, how can we do that?
I'm just saying, if we can say, we are gonna approve you because you're digging to 12,000 feet with all the water.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I was just throwing it out there because Kelly is concerned and I don't blame her there.
There's just reality right in the surrounding area of this property. I'm not making this stuff up as like a theoretical, like we should just, you know, but these are the tough questions that in a water scarce
12,000 feet?
that we live in the valley, it's immediately experiencing it, that I just think we need to be more.
I think the real question is not actually about water. It's actually about whether we as county commissioners feel that it's our prerogative to override state statutes about what water use is allowed.
We can't override
I'm not
state
saying
statutes.
that we have that prerogative.
But you're ready to deny this over and above what the state says they can do.
No, I'm not. I'm ready to, I want to understand what exactly are we getting ourselves into with this approval? Are we getting ourselves into further augmentation commitments to solve on the Crystal River down the road? Is this group willing to partner with us on those solutions? This is the kind of stuff. Are they going to have to truck water? What does that mean for residents of Prince Creek Road? How often? Where does it go? Where do they store it? I just think, these are responsive questions about approving a development that is very large.
They're very large. I agree with that.
You know, we don't need to rush this stuff.
So, Francie, I'm gonna put a motion on the table to continue this, to answer the questions that have been provided to staff. I'm comfortable where I am to approve it tonight, but I think Kelly's got some valid issues she needs to resolve. So I'm gonna put a motion on the table to continue. Do we need a date certain? I do believe we do, because we'll continue the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right,
We need
let's
a
have
date
discussion on that. I want to say something. I want to go back and change my thing about the annual review, because I would like to require an annual review or report, however you want to word that, because I want to be a good neighbor to these people, and I don't want to be spying on them and trying to figure out what they're doing wrong and calling in and telling on them. I just don't find that a neighborly way to behave. So I would rather have it be official. Just have them come in and say, you know, we've had this many people come, we had fewer vehicle trips than we thought we were going to have, blah, blah, blah. Because I know that the county operates on complaints, but I would rather have the county operate on self-reporting back to us, possibly with some oversight from ComDev, so that we can make an assessment without neighbors spying on each other. But I'm changing my opinion on that.
Can I comment? The problem is that that's totally different than how many nights did you leave the lights on. That's the complaint issue that's got to be driven by the neighbors. They're not going to say, oh, by the way, we left the lights on 322 days out of the year.
That may be, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but my concern about having them, what I would like to see is pretty much what you said is, how did it work? How did it work? Come back with an annual report 1 year after they went up in operation. What's that, Greg?
How much water? Why that water? If we're gonna ask for that report, I'd say, what's the water use?
Will we be able to track that?
And we should be able to. Yeah.
So we need to have staff come back with some guidelines for what we would like to see. And do we do an annual review every year from now on, or do we do one after they've been up and running for a year?
We'll start with that.
So question for Leslie. This is a special review permit, which they are required to do an annual report to you anyhow?
Not unless we.
Or we have to require it.
The special review gives us the opportunity to check in every year, check in 1 year after they get their CO. Maybe, you know,
I think that's more better
it's
than.
kind of awkward with the solar project and the Emmett distillery because they weren't done yet, you know, so we were bringing them back in.
Yeah, after the CO.
They do it after the CO.
Okay, everybody?
And we can decide at that annual review whether.
Report that's on our list, whether reporting on specifically.
You guys have lights, number of trips, occupied, permanent occupancy of the units, water use.
I don't know why lights. What are they going to tell us? The lights were on, the lights were off? You'll know if there's complaints.
But
But
this is whether or not they feel like they need to have the lights on more often or something. Okay.
Or if they're installing shutters to close the shutters when they have a night event.
with gold turn. But
Does it have any special event permits? We do I do have a, condition of approval for special events in the resolution, and I think we said no special event. So they would need a special event permit from us. And, I believe what I
Up to 3.
said in here that no special events during those critical winter timeframes.